Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello everyone and welcome to Apex Online Racing Formula 1 action. We are here today in Silverstone for round number 10 for the PC European F1 Championship. The British Grand Prix is brought to you by our sponsors Elgato, SIMSOK, and Driver62. I am Fizzymon and I will be your host today, and unfortunately Benny Kage is not alongside me today, so you'll just have to put up with my hopefully sweet voice talking you through this excellent race that we have for you today. We're at Silverstone, one of the fan favorite tracks, one of the most popular tracks on the calendar, and it is going to be a very, very good race here today. Let's go ahead though, prior to the drivers getting into qualifying, let's go ahead and take a look at the championship standings. And as you can see, Jan Fehler with an almighty lead in the championship right now. 139 points to 95 over the airborne driver, Ripson. Ripson, unfortunately, will not be racing today as he is still feeling under the weather, so we do hope you do feel better, Ripson, as you never want to have a championship contender or a driver, let alone, have to miss two back-to-back races due to feeling sick, so we hope you feel better. However, that has opened up the door for F1 Racer, who's been on a pretty good run of form recently, who's now up into third in the championship, while holding third now, and 1 point behind Ripson. So all he has to do is score a point, and he will be up into second position. Darn in fourth place in the Williams had a pretty good Portugal. Started towards the back, finished on the podium, but ended up losing the podium due to Field Racing Seb getting a penalty removed. Either way, fourth place last week was a very good result. Sauerbraten up 3 positions in the championship standings, up into 5th. Goat Tudor down into 6th at this time. Patrick in 7th. Kev Genetics in 8th. Crew 6 9th. And Field Racing Seb rounding out our top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the constructors. Look at the full table right now. Last week we highlighted that the McLaren team only had a 1 point advantage over the Williams pair. Now Donut Hole is once again not able to race, so it's going to be Jan Fehler having to hold his own versus Darn and Patrick, who have been on some pretty good form, but Patrick did not have his best race last week, and he's hoping to bounce back here at Silverstone. The gap between them is 14 points, not too much separating the Williams and McLaren team, and behind them is Scuderia Ferrari in third, being heavily carried by F1 Racer. But his teammate Gelbevand has had some pretty good results, hasn't had the race finishes he's been looking for. He's had the pace to get it on the podium, just hasn't fully put it together. Alpine up into 4th in the constructors after a pretty decent Portugal for both the drivers. Field Racing Seb and Kev Genetics both had pretty good results, with Seb ending up on the podium after getting his penalty removed, his best result of the season. Alfa Romeo has dropped down to 5th due to Ripson's unable to race, and it's all been left on Sauerbraten. Ural Kali Haas is down into 6th as well, with Tudor the only driver to drive last week, but we do have Richie B returning this week, so that should be entertaining. AlphaTauri, though, making up a 4-way battle for 4th position. 9 points separating the 4 teams, with AlphaTauri at 72 points. And then a little farther down, we have Red Bull down in 8th, Mercedes AMG 9th, and Aston Martin only in 10th. It's going to be a good one, folks. And hold on to your seats. It is going to be good. We're going to go ahead and go back to the driver's standings real fast. Now we're going to talk about some of our previous race results as well that have been highlighted through talking. But let's also go ahead and look at the results screen and kind of talk us through with how the championships unfolded. Now Jan Fehler picked up his 3rd race victory of the season last week in Portugal. Only driver to have 3 race wins. He's one of 2 drivers with multiple race wins with Sauerbraten. 5th in the championship, the only other driver with multiple race wins. Like I said before, Silverstone is a fan favorite track. It's not a long lap, 18 corners, all pretty high speed. DRS train is to be expected. So it'll be a very, very good race. And with it being such a fan favorite, can we get a new race winner? Someone who has not won this season, and the highest runner in the championship, is F1 Racer. He's the only driver in the top 7 in the championship to not win a race this season. He's got 3 second-place finishes, 1 at Spain, 1 at Austria, and 1 at Portugal last week. He's looking to get it onto the top step. It would be very, very exciting if he could do that. Darn, on the other hand, hasn't been on the podium in the last 3 races. Did come home in 4th, was on the podium in the race, but lost it post-race due to Field Racing Seb's penalty removal, so that was out of his control. But Darn looking to bounce back, put it on, and get his 5th podium of the season. So we'll have to see how he does. Ripson, meanwhile, who, like we said, is not racing today, he only has 3 podiums as well. So Darn has the 2nd most amount of podiums of any driver, currently sitting in 4th. Sauerbraten, with his 2 race victories, is in 5th, looking to maybe tie Fehler and get his 3rd race victory of the season. Can he do it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Patrick in 7th has really struggled the last 2 races. Only came home in 8th in Belgium after starting towards the back, and 11th in Portugal. That's kind of been the story of his season. He went from a DNF in Bahrain to 11th in Spain, 9th in Monaco, did not race Baku, but then he ended up winning in France, down at 13th in Austria, and then bounced back up Monza for the 3rd place finish. So can Patrick get the highs of his form? It's either a podium or very minimal points. Hopefully for his sake, he does get that podium. We'll have to wait and see, though. We're loading up into the lobby now. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully it's dry weather for everyone, as I know everyone prefers the dry here. But we'll have to wait and see. 16 drivers on the grid today. Should be a good one. Actually, I do have an update. Ripson is driving. So I did not realize that. He did call off sick, but he did decide last minute that he was going to race. That is great news to hear. That'll continue the championship battle. If Fehler doesn't score, which is going to be unlikely, but if Fehler were not to score this race, and if Fehler were to even win this race, he would have a chance at winning the title in China next week. So, a lot on the line here today as we load up into qualifying now. It's a dry qualifying session. We'll go ahead and ask for what the weather is supposed to be like at the moment. So I'll go ahead and send out the normal pre-race messages asking what the weather is, and we'll hopefully hear back on what it is. But dry qualifying, unsure if it's a wet race. If it's a wet race, which I would not be surprised, Silverstone does like to rain a lot. As you can see, the Mercedes already leaving the garage. Dry race, dry quali. There you have it. Now we do have a new driver here today. He's in the Mercedes. It is Max. Max, welcome back to the grid. If I believe correctly, I need to double check on one thing. Max is actually not going onto the grid. It's his teammate Rivershawn at the moment. But I believe Max is the same Max who drove last season. But I need to confirm that right now, because he has been. He's a previous AOR driver. I think, if I'm correct, he drove last season. Yes, Max AMG. He was in the Ferrari last season. So, good to have you back, Max. Great to see you back on the grid. And hello to you in chat, Oliver. I think you are in for a treat today. Unfortunately, I do not have my track map in front of me. So that's unfortunate, but I'm going to go do the best I can off of memory. I am American, not British, so I'm not accustomed to all the corner names. So I'll do the best I can, but do be advised, I will absolutely butcher some of the corners. But as you can see, Rivershaw, I'm going to ride on board with him during his outlap right now. You can see he's going through Maggots, Beckett's, and now Chapel. You see the long DRS straight down on the hangar straight. It's This is gonna be where we're gonna see all our overtakes today, as we normally see. DRS trains will allow people to close back in while they're over here. So Rivershan currently going to be the first driver to start his flying lap. We have Darn and Richie B both on mediums. Now, Darn, second driver to start his lap. We'll see what kind of time he can do. There's not much of a gap between the softs and the mediums, so the reverse right isn't exactly too much powerful, as it's only like about a half-second difference between the tires. So we're going to keep an eye on Darn's progress right now. Behind him, we have the likes of Galaxy starting his lap as well in the Red Bull, looking to get a good result. He had that unfortunate DNF last week. We'll see if he can go ahead and get that finish, maybe into the points. We'll have to see what Galaxy has to offer. Both the Haas drivers behind, Richie B on the mediums, Tudor on the softs, followed up by Liors starting their flying lap. Liors had a good start last week, but went really, really long on the softs. Ended up getting a puncture towards the end of the lap at Portugal after running 18 laps on the softs. Tried to hold out to the rain on them. It ended up not working, and the Israeli went from having a chance of getting good points on what would have been a very strong and smart drive. Unfortunately, the rain came 2 laps too late. Hopefully, the Israeli can put it back in the top 10 and have a fantastic result. And starting their flying lap right now is Max. Like I said, Max is returning to the grid, new to the season, but is an AOR veteran. But we'll look ahead at the other Mercedes driver, Rivershan, coming through the final few corners now, through Vale and then through Club. Almost completely flat out run to the line. The first banker lap that's going to be set is a 1:26.8. But who has an answer behind? I believe that is F1 Racer coming out of the final corner. Will he put it on provisional pole? Yes, he will. 26.5. He jumps up the board. Then Galaxy only goes 0.6 slower behind. In the background, we have a yellow flag through Sector 3. Tudor invalidated his lap. Provisionally, though, it would have been a 27.3, so not his best work right now. Richie B backed off as well. Liors goes up to third. And our mate displaces him 0.3 up. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the actual times right now as everyone finishes their first lap. Gelbavan on a currently starting his lap. Patrick coming out of Vale now and through Club. It's going to be a 26.8. So F1 Racer with a nice 0.3 advantage over the rest of the field. But one of his main championship rivals, Ripson, has invalidated his lap. That's not what you want to see. Behind him, Jan Fehler through the middle sector is a 1:02.8 that is purple. Now, can Fehler put it on provisional pole, keep it valid, as track limits will be a little tricky as drivers look to maximize their time around here using all of the track that they paid for. And now if you look at Fehler, heavy braking into Vale, and now it's through the chicane, then going into Club, the right-hander turn 18 on the calendar. It's going to be a 1:26.1. He's got 0.4 in hand over F1 Racer. What a lap by our championship leader. Gelbavan, though, behind him is actually not behind him. He's a little farther back on the lap. I do apologize. Sauerbraten, though, coming across the line. He's only going to go good enough for 8th. Our mate's on an in-lap right now. We have Richie B. Looks like he's doing a couple laps along with Tudor. Tudor's actually going again on his set of tires. He's only going to do a 1:27.1, only good enough for P10. Richie B. behind on mediums. He's improving a little bit, but he only had a 1:35. It's a 1:29.9. Looks like he's running with a little bit of heavier fuel load in that car. So he validated his lap. Gelbavan, though, meanwhile, he did not invalidate his lap. He's not going purple. It was a 1:31 middle sector to 1:26.7 final lap time. That's good enough for third on his first run. A very, very solid lap by the Ferrari driver. Kev Genetics, though, displaces him. Goes up into third, 1:26.7. So Kev Genetics moving up the grade. Krusix, crucially, up into second, onto the front row, 1:26.5. Good lap by the AlphaTauri driver. He's shown a lot of good pace. Coming out of the final corner, that is Max. He's slightly improved on his lap, but he's backed out of it completely. It's going to be a 31.0. He's out of fuel by the sounds of it, so Max not really improving at this stage. Darn, meanwhile, has not set a valid lap. He's going to start a lap, so we're going to go ahead and ride on board. Flat out through Abbey and through Farm, then heavy braking into turn number 3, down to third gear, short shifts up to fourth to get that traction now through Arena. Left-hander down to third, short shifting out to fourth. Again, all about getting the traction, the power down, flat out through turn 5, and now on the run into Brooklands. It's going to be a 27.3 first sector. That is purple. Down to fourth gear. Got to keep it between the light lines. Now through Luffield. Long right-hander, very slow. Short shifts up to fifth, allowing him to put the power down. Very, very good rotation with that car. Now through Woodcott and on the Lewis Hamilton straight. It's going to be flat out through Cops. Look how brave will he go. He keeps it flat out. He keeps it between the white lines. This is looking like a very good lap for Darn. Now through Maggots and Beckett. Left, right, left. Down to fifth gear, right again. Going a little wide there. You can feel the car slip underneath him. It's a 102.9 middle sector. That is purple. That is somewhat comparable to Jan Fahlers. Out of Chapel, down the hanger straight, and into Stowe. Flat out right-hander. Goes a little too wide on entry. Had to slow the car down a little bit more than he wanted. And into Vale Now's final 3 corners of the lap. Holding fourth gear, short shifting up to fifth gear, trying to carry as much speed, gets the power down, and it's going to be a 26.5. Very, very good lap. 3/4 thousandths of a second off of Krusix and the front row. Good lap by Darn in the Williams. That is a lap on board of Silverstone. High energy. And it appears that I forgot to turn on the desktop audio. I do apologize very, very much on that. That is 100% on me. That would explain why we are missing all that beautiful onboards. I do apologize for that. Let me go ahead also turn up the desktop volume as the audio as well. Want to make sure that I can, make sure we get a little bit of, let me make sure you hear everything. So that should be better. Yeah, so that should be a lot better. I turned it down on my end, turned it up. Won't be perfect. I do apologize. Thank you for pointing that out with the volume. That was a whoopsies on my part. And thank you to everyone watching here today and for this presentation of Apex Online Racing. We are over halfway through qualifying, 8.5 minutes left to go. And it's currently Jan Fahler on pole position. Provisionally, he's on an outlap to do his second run in that Papaya McLaren. See if he can get into the 25s around the track. It's going to be tricky, but let's see if he can go ahead and do it. He's got a fast-moving Red Bull behind him. I believe that's Galaxy. That is Galaxy, who's 2.5 tenths up. That would put him into the top 10. Gets a little bit of a slipstream from Fahler. Able to capitalize off of the championship leader's outlap. Now Galaxy's going to have to keep it nice and tidy through Stowe. He does keep it in between the white lines, so he should keep this lap. It should stay valid, but can he get a very nice final few corners here? Coming up to the line, Galaxy does a 126.8. That's 3.5 tenths improved. He's right in a very, very big cluster of cars. From Seb down to Sauerbot, and 4 of them within half a tenth. Very small margins here at Silverstone. F1 Racer, meanwhile, has started his lap a little up the road from Jan Fahler. He's slightly improved through the first sector, but he's going to need to find a little bit more time on this lap if he wants to put it back on the front row, potentially on provisional pole. Ripson a little farther up the road than him right now. Going through Cops right now, flat out, keeping it on the circuit. And now into Maggots and Beckett. He actually wasn't the driver I was looking to find. It is Armate. Armate's going through the final sector. He's slightly improved through the middle sector. Not as much as he would want, but he's part of that little gaggle of cars that's only a half tenth improved, and he's almost a tenth up on this lap. Now he's going to cross the line. It's going to be a 126.8. That's good enough for P7. Very, very good lap by Armate. Meanwhile, we're going to go back to Ripson, who hasn't validated it yet again. Not what the airborne driver wants to have happen to him. Behind him is F1 Racer. He doesn't really get much in the way of dirty air from the Alfa Romeo, but the Ferrari driver is going to improve by 51 thousandths of a second, but he stays 4th position. Now, what does Jan Fahler have in the tank? He's 2 tenths improved through the middle sector, and he's going to cross the start-finish line with a 126.0. He's going to stretch his legs just a little bit more out in front. He's almost got half a second clear of Krusix, who's currently going through Sector 2 now through Luffield, getting the power down. Can Krusek respond? He was only slightly improved through the first sector. He's going to need to find a half second somewhere. I don't know where, but Krusek has it all to do here out on track. It's going to be tricky. Gelbovan returns to the pits. We do have Richie B about to start a lap, along with a few other cars on the back end of their laps. So we'll have to keep an eye on that cluster of cars going through the final sector. Sauerbraten, meanwhile, he is returning to the pits as well. So he is not improved on this run. But let's go back to Krusek. Krusek's going through Stowe now. Will he keep this lap? He will keep pushing on it. He's green at least. But is it going to be good enough for pole? It's going to be tricky now. He's going to come out of the final corner, cross the line to 126.5 and validates it. Coming out of club, but it would not have been an improvement anyways. He will have to return to the pits. He has got enough time to go once more, and that will be what we'll see. F1 Racer, meanwhile, has done 2 laps, and he has improved on his last one. He's up into second, so he just displaced Krusek. Did 2 back-to-back laps on the softs. Tire wear rather low around here, and F1 Racer on the front row ever so slightly. But it's all you need around here. The margins are very small. Right now, between second and fourth, we're talking 0.02 of a second. From 6th down to 10th, we're talking about 0.06 of a second. So the smallest of improvements can get you a decent amount of positions right now. So everyone really looking to push right now on their laps. Max, meanwhile, on the mediums has invalidated. He was slightly improving. He's going to return to the pits. Behind him, Richie B. Also, returning to the pits. Darn, though, goes up into second. He finds a 10.5 on his lap. And the Williams driver onto the front row. Take a bow, Darn. That was a darn good lap right there. The most drivers now on in laps, not really pushing. Tudor, the only one on an out lap, looking to start his final flying lap of the session. We'll stay tuned while he goes on his out lap. I'm going to take a quick break, grab something hot to drink from my throat, and we'll get ready for these final few minutes of qualifying. All right, we are back. We've been watching Tudor for the last minute while I was going to get my coffee set up to brew. And Tudor now coming out of Cops. He's backed out of this lap. He didn't like his improvement. It wasn't good enough for his standards. He's down in 14th. So he's got plenty of time to do, but he hasn't been the best in qualifying. Hasn't really been able to find all the times. You can see he is not improved on this lap. So we'll keep an eye on that. Leors, meanwhile, has just started their final run. Improved by 2.5 tenths, it said on the previous lap. But Leor is currently going through Sector 1 on a hot lap. The only other driver on a hot lap. No improvement through Sector 1 so far. Slightly down on their time. Let's see what the Israeli can do to end the session. Everyone's out on track except for Darn, who did do that late run to put him on the front row. I don't think he has enough time to get out there. He has retired from the session, so Darn will not improve from second position. He's happy with his lap. Doesn't have enough time to get back out there. And the Williams driver will hold P2 for now. But let's keep an eye on Leors. The first driver on a hot lap right now. Yellow flag up ahead. It looks like just a driver going slow down the hanger straight. Leors only improving by 0.04 of a second. That would actually get Leors a position. Rivershawn's only got 1,000th of a second right now in hand. But through the fast right-hander of Stowe, runs a little wide. Got to be very brave here. Got a car starting the lap up ahead of the Williams of Patrick. That's certainly going to impede Lior's lap. Lior's certainly going to be very annoyed with Patrick after that. Lior's does cross the line and come home in 7th, but there was definitely more time to find in the final corner. That has to be annoying to the Israeli, but still, 7th position, not bad so far. F1 Racer starts their final flying lap. Behind is Gelbavad and Kev Genetics. Then Jan Failer and Field Racing Seb and Richie B, who just gave a slipstream down to Tudor. We have a yellow flag. That's a spun Red Bull. Keep an eye on Tudor now. He was improved by over a 10th through the second sector. Got a slipstream from his teammate. And now coming up to the line, can Tudor put it into the top 10? It's going to be a 1:26.6. That's good enough for 6th. Not a bad lap by the Romanian. Behind him, his teammate's going to start a lap. Meanwhile, Revson goes up into 3rd. Great lap by the airborne driver. Max has crashed. Max has crashed out and, in Cops. So the Mercedes driver will not improve. Galaxy has retired in the pits. Sauerbraten currently up in 8th and is improving. Our mate coming out of the final corner, slightly improving on his lap. Can he jump up into the top 10? He does go up to 3rd. Our mate finds 3/10 in the final sector, and the Red Bull driver is in 3rd with their best qualifying yet. Rivershan is behind, has invalidated. Rivershan will not improve. Next up is Patrick. Patrick's on a lap in the mediums. He's going to return to the pits. He will not improve on this lap. Can Krusix, who was on the front row at one point, can he put it back up on the front? No, he cannot. He has invalidated his lap on the apex of Vale. Behind him, F1 Racer looking to go back on the front row. What can the German driver do? He goes 2nd. He's a 10th and a half off pole position. Gelbavad next up, coming out of the final corner. He's found 2.5 tenths on this lap. Can he find even more? Yes, he can. He's up into 5th position. Kev Genetics behind him. The Alpine driver goes up into 3rd. Jan Failer bails out on his lap. Field Racing Seb, who was our star of the race last week, he's currently down in 14th. He's only found a 10th and a half on this lap. Can Seb put it into the top 10? He goes 8th quickest. He will not improve from there. Richie B has invalidated his lap. He will not start higher than 16th position. Behind him is Sauerbraten. Returns to the pits. He will not improve as well. I believe that is session over, folks. I do not believe Tudor's pushing. Tudor's into the pits. Rips in, I believe, into the pits right now, who briefly jumped up towards the front and then got pipped by the likes of Kev Genetics, Armate, and F1 Racer. And Gelbavad, excuse me. Krusix was on the front row at one point, could not improve on his final run, and has dropped all the way down to 9th position. Wow. Take a bow, Silverstone. We got some airborne fans in the chat, I see, cheering on Ripson, who was able to make it, was feeling good enough today. He's going to start in 7th. Not a bad starting position. But, man, the margins are very, very small. And Jan Failer leads them at the top with a 1:26.0. So you have drivers returning to the pits as soon as Ripson gets fully situated. That will be session done and dusted. F1 Racer starting alongside Jan Failer. He's looking to get his first victory of the season. He's going to be battling his championship rival, Jan Failer, off the line. F1 Racer's been brought into the mix in the championship, considering the fact he's 1 point behind Ripson, who's in 2nd right now. The pair of them about 40 points adrift from Failer. Now, Failer cannot win the championship this week, but he will have the shot next week. Failer on top, F1 Racer in 2nd. Kev Genetics with an amazing final lap is in 3rd. Darn in 4th. The Hungarian of Armate up into 5th. Fantastic lap by the Red Bull driver there. Gelbavad in 6th. Rips in 7th. Field Racing 7th. 8th. Krusix 9th. And Tudor in 10th. All those drivers forced onto the soft tire to start. Sauerbraten rounds out the guys with the free tire choice in 11th. Lior's in 12th. Patrick in 13th. Rivershan 14th. Galaxy in 15th. Richie B in 16th, and Max, our newcomer for today, down in 17th in the Mercedes. That is qualifying, folks. Hold on to your seats because this race is going to be awesome. As we previously mentioned, the race was going to be dry. It is going to be dry. It's going to be a very, very fast race. Everyone will go have their free selection of tire choices. It's going to be, what I would have to assume, everyone in the top 10 is going to be on softs as they are required to. Everyone outside of it, go for the mediums, I would assume. The reverse strategy, it's not really much faster per se, if at all, because the DRS train, but you will get that advantage later on. Now, of course, some of these drivers in the back may play the safety car game. Hope that we get an early one, pit off of the softs onto the mediums early and then go to the end of the race. That is a very possible thing that they can do. But ideally, you do not want to be on the hards, and you would only have to go onto the hards if you started on the mediums, pitted an early safety car to get your required pit stop out of the way, and it was at a point where the softs could not go to the end of the race, which that is something that can happen. But like I said, ideally, everyone's going to be here. Soft, medium, it is the strategy to go. And barring an early safety car, that's what we should see everyone doing, either soft, medium, or medium, soft. Timer's ticking down. We'll be able to see who's on what tire compound momentarily. The driver's going to pull away from the grid to do the formation lap. Got their tires up to temperature. And there you have it, like I predicted. Top 10 on softs, 11th through 17th on mediums, the 17-car field. It's going to be a fantastic race to start. And we'll just keep an eye on the tire compounds for now. Well, we know what the tire compounds are for now. We're just going to keep an eye on the grid as they go through the formation lap. Untitled Championship leader on pole once again. He's been the class of the field. But F1 Racer's been very quick behind. He's going to look to try to get a better start than Failer, who's known. Failer's known for his absolutely phenomenal race starts. F1 Racer, meanwhile, well, F1 Racer is no slouch, that's for sure. He's been having a great season. 3 second-place finishes, but he wants that win so badly. You can see it. You can tell. I mean, last week, he was leading the way, but unfortunately, Failer got the call right by starting on the mediums and holding them out to the rain while F1 Racer pitted from his softs onto a set of mediums to get his required pit stop, and then the rain came out towards the end of the race, making him lose the position to Jan Failer. But in the wet, the two of them were matching on pace. There was just a 20-second gap due to the very long pit stop delta at Portugal. So I'm sure F1 Racer wants to get it on track this time around. Kev Genetics in third place right now in the Alpine. He's going to be looking to jump one of the two drivers up ahead. Now, he's had some internet issues recently with connection. Hopefully that is not the case here today. I will knock on wood now. I'm also going to go ahead and send some backup invites to guys down towards the bottom of the grid who I did not get a chance to do. So while the drivers line up on the grid, we're just going to go ahead and send them to the likes of F1 Racer, R8, and River Shun. 26 laps here today around Silverstone. Back of the grid, Max, new driver, alongside him, Richie B. Neither driver had a good qualifying performance, but they're looking to have a good race as they come to the grid along with the rest of the field. The lights will be going out momentarily, folks. Stay tuned. Strap in. It's going to be a crazy, crazy race. Always is here at Silverstone. High speed. Green flags are waving. And there you have it, folks. The lights are on. 2 lights, 3, 4, and 5 lights. The drivers pedal to the metal. Go, go, go. They're underway. F1 Racer with a very good start, but Failer with his usually really good start. F1 Racer's going to cover off Kev Genetics into turn 1. Everyone getting through clean at the front. They're going double file in the background, but Failer gets away. Kev Genetics goes up the inside. A little bit of a lockup. Ooh, a little bit of contact between Darn and Kev. Kev's hold on to the position, but rips it up the inside of Darn into Arena. He has 4th position. Darn down to 5th. Up at the front, though, can F1 Racer. Oh, we have a spinner. Oh, and it is our mate who had a fantastic qualifying. He is round coming out of turn 5. No damage to his car by the looks of it, but his tires are certainly going to be overheated. Back up at the front, though, it's steady as is. We do have a little bit of cars shuffling around through their grid. Side-by-side action. Galaxy. Max up into 15th, Galaxy in 14th. We have a yellow flag up ahead again. That is Armin. His tires are certainly overheated. He's got to be very frustrated because he was in such a good starting position. And unfortunately, he was round. Failer, though, meanwhile, trying to gap the rest of the field. Doing what he can. He's F1 Racer still in DRS range. 7/10 back though, so he's going to have to burn a lot of battery to keep with the German up ahead. Single file all the way through the grid. Galaxy looking to possibly make a move on Rivershan. Rivershan trying to make a move on Leors, but nothing doing so far. We're going to go look at the gaps, or the position changes. Ripson up 3 positions on the first lap. Tudor up 3 positions as well, up into 7th. As Jan Fehler goes purple the first lap, unsurprisingly, with the biggest loser being Armate due to his spin. F1 Racer gets a little bit of time through the first sector. Fehler hasn't been able to break DRS, which is going to be crucial. He's going to have to break it if he wants to have a chance to run away with this race. And he knows it. F1 Racer knows it as well, that he needs to get a move on. Tudor following very closely to Gelbovan right now within a 4/10. Behind him, Seb also looking very quick right now behind him in the Alpine. So Seb trying to get a move on, but he's got Krusix. He knows Krusix is very, very fast. Krusix unfortunately had that spin last race, and he was looking like someone who could battle for the win. Still seeing Krusix down in 9th, Sauerbraten down in 10th. Some fast drivers behind Seb. And Patrick in 11th as well. He knows that he's got to be careful. Patrick's on the medium compounded tire, while everyone else behind him, oh, the other 2 cars behind him are on the oh no, excuse me, Sauerbraten's on the mediums as well. So Patrick has to be very, very careful. Meanwhile, F1 Racers lost DRS to Fehler. Fehler has broken. He's 1.2 clear of his fellow countrymen. Can F1 Racer get back into DRS range? It's going to be crucial. This will determine the race essentially at this point. If F1 Racer cannot get DRS range and he comes under threat from Kev Genetics behind, he's not going to have a chance at running down Fehler, who does a 28.9 first lap, absolutely blitzing it up on the front in his McLaren. He is just trying to run away from the field. Absolutely lightning pace from the German driver, former esports driver. F1 Racer, though, goes much later in the race into arena, but that little bit of a lockup, it's costing him. He's completely out of DRS range, 1.5 behind. That's going to open the door for Kev Genetics in the Alpine. He's under half a second behind. Kev looking to try to make a move on F1 Racer. Gets close, but not close enough, and behind is just a huge DRS train. No one able to overtake because the car ahead has DRS as well. Looking at Galaxy, though, kind of pushing Rivershan through a couple of these corners, but he's not able to make the move. Maybe try to go for a move out of Luffield and into Cops. Going to be very, very risky. He's close, but he's not close enough. Rivershan pulling away just enough. F1 Racer, though, falling even further back from Jan Fehler, who's 1.8 clear of the Ferrari driver. It's already looking like potentially curtains for F1 Racer's chance of beating Fehler, because now Kev Genetics is going to have the DRS behind him. He's going to gain a lot down the straight. Kev is going to have to be careful, though, because he's going to want to sit behind and just harvest battery behind F1 Racer, but he knows that if he just kind of sits and waits, that Ripson will eventually go for a move, because he'll get impatient. He'll want to clear. He knows he's going to have to get a move on. And it's going to make things very, very interesting. Huge DRS train from 2nd all the way down to 16th. So very close running, with the closest gap being Galaxy, who's just glued to the gearbox of Rivershan. I mean, he's certainly going to be getting a lot of dirty air there. You can see just the exhaust coming out of the Mercedes up ahead from the Red Bull. He's doing everything he can, but it is not enough. Ripson, meanwhile, though, was really, really close coming out of turn 5 and out of arena. It's not close enough, though, to make the move on Kev Genetics. It's just Kev has the DRS. It's just going to make it so much harder. If you're in this train, overtaking is going to be next to impossible. Rivershan, meanwhile, has almost lost DRS to Leors. Sauerbraten almost losing it to Krusix as well. So the medium runners losing touch for the soft runners. Sauerbraten might have made a mistake, might have caught under pressure from Patrick, but he needs to find that 10th. He needs to find it. He needs to get DRS on Krusix for the hanger straight. Otherwise, the medium runners will all be in trouble. Sauerbraten carrying the weight of that. Up ahead, though, let's ride on board with Ripson. Gets a much better run out of Chapel than Kev and F1 Racer. But you can just see how the DRS is affecting everyone. Kev, though, has the overspeed on F1 Racer. He's going to go to the inside. Kev Genetics is through and up into 2nd position. He will now have the chance to pull the field along and try to catch up to Jan Fehler, who is just gone. He's 2.5 clear of the rest of the field. Curious to see if F1 Racer, we're going to go on board with him. He still has 80% battery, so he didn't try hard enough to keep with Fehler. who's running away at the front, in my opinion. Probably should have battery dumped, gotten the DRS, and then just used his DRS to be pulled along to save the battery. But instead, F1 Racer now down in the 3rd position and having to stick behind Kev Gen X in his dirty air. Kev's probably going to look to go faster. Richie B has spun round, coming through farm, losing the rear end. That's going to hurt his races on the medium tires. He's going to drop down the order, down to where R-Mate is, not what the Dutch driver wanted to happen in his return to racing. 2.5 still is the gap from Jan to Kev. These guys are moving pretty quickly. Once again, Sauerbrand's lost the DRS range to Krusix. Up ahead, these soft runners really blitzing it in this early stage of the race. Lap 5, you can see Darn going a little wide. Dirty air through Cops is pretty strong. Rivershan, picks up his first time penalty, the first time penalty of the race. 3-second time penalty that it is. F1 Racer, though, looking to try to get Kev Genetics here. Once again, behind him, Darn, gaining a lot on Ripson, but going into Stowe with everyone having DRS around you. Nothing is working. Kev Genetics, though, has closed in 3/10 on a failure. Might have used a decent amount of battery there on the hanger straight, but there you can see the McLaren driver followed up by the Alpine, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Williams, and the rest of the field. The huge trend going on. Krusix looking very racy down in 9th position behind Seb. He's the last soft runner in the top 10. Now the 10th soft runner is R-Mate down the order. And he's going to go up for the inside. Went for a move in turn 4. Very bold of Krusix, but he's going to lose out. He's not going to get the position, and that helps Sauerbrand massively along with the rest of the medium runners, as that gives them the DRS that they were looking for going forward. Apologies for that. Kev, 2.3 still behind Failure, so he's gaining a little bit. Richie B's into the pits as well for an unscheduled pit stop. He has actually going in for a wing change and to the soft tires. Failure still leading the way and just running away at the moment from Kev Genetics, who's under pressure from F1 Racer. Racer going up the inside into Stowe. He has the position easy as you like, uses the DRS to his advantage, and he's back ahead of the Alpine. And it will be F1 Racer now who is in charge of running down Failure, who's 2.5 up ahead. Going to have to use some battery. These guys are going to have to work together if they want to catch up to the McLaren driver up ahead, who they're basically matching at this point. He's not pulled away for a while now, but you need to be faster if you want to run him down. They're going to need to find 1.4 seconds to get into the DRS range to have a shot at the race win. Any of these drivers, they're all going to be hoping, especially the likes of like Tudor, Field Racing, Seb Krusix, guys at the back of this train. You know, these guys who are relatively quick have shown a lot of pace recently. These guys who just can't make any overtakes on the way through the field because of the DRS train. They got to be hoping that F1 Racer just absolutely blitzes it, goes for the catch-up move, tries to run down the McLaren driver up ahead. 2.3 is the gap. How much ERS does Failure have? Well, we'll have to take a look. He's got 50%, so Failure has a lot less battery than the cars behind. Yeah, so that is something to note. So Failure at 44, F1 Racer at 63. He's got a lot less than he did before. Kev Genetics 57, Ripson 82, and Darn 65. So Failure doing his best to keep the gap, but it's F1 Racer's pushing. Look at this, under 2 seconds. The first time it's been under 2 seconds since lap 3. And Failure, who used his battery to pull away, but he used a lot of it. Richie B has retired from the race. It looks like he crashed coming out of club, and that is a full safety car, folks. The safety car is out. Now, Failure was already past the pit entrance. The safety car has left the pits. Oh, this is horrible. Failure, F1 Racer, and Kev Genetics are going to get stuck. We have a couple collisions going into the pits. We're going to have to take a look at that in a sec. But Failure, F1 Racer, and Kev past the pit entrance. They're going to catch up to the safety car through the first sector of the track. They're not going to be able to clear him. And as a result, they're going to have to wait. Now, this is huge. Sauerbrand stayed out. Galaxy stayed out. Rivershan stayed out. But Ripson, who has has no time penalty, is going to lead the drivers away, who all just pitted on the mediums. Failure F1 Racer and Kev Genetics just got royally messed up by the safety car because they're stuck behind the safety car, and when they come into pit, which they're certainly going to have to, it's a free pit stop, they'll be all the way at the back of this field. Ah, it is heartbreak. It is absolute heartbreak, folks. But Darn and Tudor had some contact. Gelvan had contact into the pits as well. So we'll go ahead and have to check the race director with that. You can see everyone 7th down where it has pitted. Leor's onto a set of softs. Max and Patrick onto a set of softs. They're going to try to go to the end here. It could be possible with the safety car, depending on how long it's out for. So we'll have to keep an eye on those guys on the softs because they'll be very, very quick at the start here. Leor's in prime position, currently running 12th. The top 6 have not pitted, but who's in the best position right now is Ripson. He got off the set of softs. He's on a fresh set of mediums. And assuming the top 6 were all to pit now, I mean, we know the medium runners are probably going to stay out no matter what, stretch it out, but the top 3 all just got absolutely messed up by the safety car. But this helps Ripson. This helps the championship bid because he's got Darn and Tudor behind. They have 5-second time penalty, so, you know, I'm sure they're going to try to get them removed in the steward's room, but if they have to pit again for like a late pit stop onto softs or whatever, they will have to serve that pit stop. So Ripson has a little bit of a safety buffer to Seb behind, who would essentially inherit P2. As there you have it, folks. Failer, F1 Racer, Kev Genetics all into the pits to get off the set of softs. They're going to go all the way to the back. These guys, they start top 3 to top 3 in the race, going towards the back of the grid. And man, folks, this is going to be some crazy action going forward now. You can see top 3 have not pitted, have not served their required pit stop. They are on a old set of mediums, so they're going to try to hope for a second safety car so they can get a free pit stop onto the softs. Behind them, Ripson in 4th. He's the first driver who has pitted, followed by Darn and Tudor with 5-second time penalties, then Seb, Crew 6, and then Leors. Leors is 9th position on a fresh set of softs. So they're going to try to take them to the end of the race. It's going to be hard. Their tires are going to fall off for the last 5 or 6 laps. So Leors is really going to be hating life at that point. But right now, they should have enough of a tire advantage the first couple of laps to be faster than the mediums. But the mediums will come to their own rather quickly. And Leors is going to have to make the most of it on these first 2 laps. Leors, Max, Patrick, the 3 drivers on the fresh set of softs, are going to have to do what they can to clear cars as quickly as possible, because once DRS gets enabled, their tire advantage will essentially go away because they're just not going to be able to overtake. Now the question now remains, if Ripson can clear Rivershawn and Galaxy, does Sauerbraten let his airborne teammate through and work as a buffer and defend for his championship running teammate? Speaking of championship, Jan Failer down in 13th position. He's got Armate behind, F1 Racer, and Kev Genetics. Safety car might be in this lap, might stay out for another lap. We'll have to wait and see. Should be in this lap. Everyone's caught up to the field, and Richie B's car is cleared. But wow, folks, that has completely turned the race on its head. Richie's car was crashed for about 15 seconds, and then the marshal said, we're going to pull out the safety car. Safety car is in this lap, folks. Get ready to go racing once again. Sauerbraten will lead the way. Like I said before, he has not pitted. So the top 3 still have to make their mandatory pit stops. Keep an eye on the tire delta right now. Sorry, we'll keep an eye on the penalty. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the penalty gaps right now. Sauerbraten waiting to go. You can see we're getting a nice nose shot of his Alfa Romeo. There he goes, folks. He's put the pedal down to the metal. Galaxy getting underway as well, trying to get the power down, and the rest of the field is going. Green flag underway. Sauerbraten leading away. No one going for an overtake. Crew 6, though, really close behind Seb. Will he try to send it up the inside into turn number 3? No, he will not. Seb was able to gasp him just enough. Patrick, meanwhile, pressuring Max going into turn number 3. He's going to try to go maybe around the outside. F1 Racer has cleared Armate, so now he's going to be behind Jan Failer. Up at the front, Sauerbraten has pulled away. He's trying to break the slipstream from Galaxy and everyone else behind. Crew 6 trying to go for a move on Seb, but he's not close enough as well. Patrick on Max, same deal. Kev Genetics has cleared the Red Bull of Armate. Armate now back at the back of the grid with his 5-second time penalty. He's just not had a good day so far. I'm going to keep an eye on the tires now once again. Sauerbraten leading the way, still hasn't pitted. Same with Galaxy and Rivershawn. Ripson has not been able to find any positions just yet off of the restart. His Alfa Romeo kind of stuck there, but he is in the prime position to inherit the race lead and potentially the win. Krusix, meanwhile, very quick behind Seb. He's going to try to use the overspeed down the hanger straight, maybe go for the move on Seb into Stowe. Seb goes defensive. Krusix is looking to go around the outside, but there's not enough real estate on the outside of Stowe, but Krusix though, maybe to go up the inside. No, he's going to go to the outside. Seb goes defensive. Krusix trying to go around the outside, but Seb breaks later and holds on to the position. Patrick, meanwhile, makes the move on to Max for 11th position. He's getting the move on. He's second in queue on the soft tires with Lears, the only other driver on softs up ahead of him. Jan Fehler, though, close behind on his fresh set of mediums. But up at the front, Galaxy is now caught up to Sauerbraten, who was glued to his gearbox going into turn 3, but now out of arena. He's about a half second behind the Red Bull driver, doing everything he can. This is going to hurt Sauerbraten's race. He wanted to break DRS, but he just doesn't have the pace advantage, especially the guys on fresh mediums in the back. But Seb, meanwhile, who was under pressure from Krusix, is now pressuring Tudor. He's decided to get a move on, and the Alpine driver really putting pressure on the Haas driver, but the slipstream, the DRS, the dirty air, it's just so strong around here. Making an overtake is going to be so hard, and the likes of Jan Fehler, F1 Racer, and Captain X, all who got screwed over by the safety car, are going to have a tall order if they want to get into the points to get some decent points out of this race. But I think what we need to watch for is the likes of Leors. Watch on board with them. Krusix, you can see, very close behind Seb, possibly looking for a move on the Alpine driver. Krusix going to the inside. Stowe's going to back out at the last second. Leors on the softs, trying to make a move. Seb going a little wide. Tudor not exactly fast. Krusix, though, having to try to go around the outside. Seb goes very defensive. Leors almost goes in the back of Krusix. And he's going to hold position. Krusix, though, way faster than Seb. It looks like DRS is enabled on this lap. Krusix doing everything he can to clear the Alpine, but everything is not enough at the moment. He's got Tudor up ahead, giving Seb slipstream just because of the huge train that we have going on here. Krusix got to be frustrated with how this is going. There's nowhere to make a move, nowhere to go. As you can see now, he just cannot find a gap at this stage. Galaxy gaining a lot on Sauerbraten, using the DRS. He's not going to go for the move at this stage. Seb, though, looking very racy behind Tudor. He gets a really good run out of turn 5 and into Brooklands, but he's just not able to make the move stick. There's just not enough straight, and the fact that they all have DRS is just hurting him left and right. I mean, look at the likes of Jan Fehler, who pulled away at the start. He's still stuck down to 13th behind 2 soft runners in the background. But Galaxy pressing Sauerbraten for the race lead. Is within 0.3 of a second, the closest he's been since this restart. Can Galaxy lead a lap here in the Red Bull? He'll have DRS. There he goes, wing wide open. Galaxy looking to make the move on Sauerbraten. He's going to go to the outside of the hanger straight. He's going to have the move done and dusted. Galaxy into the race lead for the Red Bull team. Now he still has to serve his mandatory pit stop. So does Sauerbraten and Rivershan, just to remind everyone once again. But Galaxy into the lead. Meanwhile, Leors is looking to make the move on Krusix. They're going to go side by side, and Leors is round. Leors made contact with Krusix on the apex of, I believe, Vale. And Leors, who was looking like in such good position, went for the move on the AlphaTauri driver, has spun around. Doesn't look like they have any damage, but they are down and essentially out of contention at this stage. Heartbreak for the Israeli driver and all his fans out there. Heartbreak. Absolutely gutted to see that happen. So we do have a lot of cars looking racy, though. Ripson, Tudor, Seb, Krusix, all very close going into Brooklands. But no one able to make the move just because of the slipstream. It's so mighty. It's just absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane stuff. The softs still looking quick, but they're not able to really keep up. Or they're not overspeeding enough. These medium runners, Patrick and Max, still stuck all the way in the back. Darn, meanwhile, really close behind Ripson. He wants to get a move on. He thinks he could probably get this 5-second time penalty removed. So him and Ripson are battling for what will be the race lead. Ripson, though, has some overspeed on Rivershan. He's probably going to use a little bit of that battery. Rivershan not going defensive, leaving the door open. And meanwhile, Sauerbraten has made the move once again on Galaxy and retakes the race lead. He's going to go defensive, though, into Vale. Nothing going right there. Seb, meanwhile, trying to get behind Tudor. Tudor gets a little squirmy. Seb can't find a way through on the Haas driver up ahead. and will stay stuck for yet another lap. Oh, Krusix looking for a move going into turn number 1 into Abbey as Gelman picks up a 3-second time penalty. His race has certainly gone downhill. He has a 5-second time penalty from a collision in the pits, which he might try to get removed, but that 3-second time penalty is going to hurt him massively. Up at the front, though, Galaxy within 4/10 of Sauerbraten. That doesn't seem close enough to get the move done in Brooklands. You can see he's going to go all the way up to the gearbox of the Alfa Romeo, but does not make the move. And that is kind of the story of everyone in the field. They get close enough. Like, look at Failer. Right behind the Mercedes AMG of Max. Just cannot make the move stick. It is very, very close here. Hello, Cardinal Smith. Congratulations on having the baby. And we look forward to seeing you back in the box for ACC action, which we'll give a little bit of a plug out after the race is over. But Sauerbraten leading the way. He's probably using those SIMSOKs, getting that extra gripping technology on his feet. Or maybe he's used the Driver 61 Academy. Use code AOR Driver 61 for 25% off a consultation session plus a free coaching session up at the front. Meanwhile, Darn under pressure from Tudor. Tudor trying to go around the outside of Stowe. Darn has the inside line. Darn has the advantage, though. That will open the door for Seb. Seb looking to make the move stick on Tudor. Tudor goes up the inside of Vale. He has the outside of Seb, though, on through the final corner. Seb under pressure from Krusix. As a result, it's all kicking off as Tudor went for the move on Dard and failed. All this racing left and right. Everyone very, very close through the start of the lap. No overtakes being made. Everyone holding position once again. Tudor looking very, very feisty behind Darn. In the background, though, Jan Failer trying to go around the outside of Max through Arena and through turn 5. Now he's going to have the DRS to help him out with the overspeed. And Failer is through. He's picked off one of the soft runners that's been holding him up. And he's up a position. Galaxy, meanwhile, going side by side with Sauerbraten through left field on exit. They're wheel banging. Galaxy making slight contact. Sauerbraten has the inside line. The two drivers going to go side by side into Cops. Will we see a repeat of Verstappen Hamilton? No, but they do bang wheels a little bit. They leave each other enough space. Sauerbraten still on the inside. He's a nose ahead. Galaxy lets him through as he wants DRS down the hanger straight as he looks to retake the race lead from the airborne driver. Lap 15 of 26. They still have to pit, but this is still battling nonetheless, hoping for a safety car. These guys must be. You see in the background, Darn looking to pressure Ripson for 4th position and what will be the net race lead. Very, very, very close scenes right now battling. Tudor throws a little bit of a dummy up ahead, and Sauerbraten's into the pits. Galaxy's into the pits. Rivershan takes the race lead. He still has to come in for his pit stop. The front two previously of Sauerbraten Galaxy going to put on a set of softs. It is a very long pit delta, though. So these guys are going to lose lots of time. They'll come out towards the back of the grid. They're certainly going to hope for safety car because their race is going to be ruined. But look at that. Darn having to defend from Tudor, who's trying to go around the outside, who gets a little bit squirmy on exit as he puts on the accelerator, puts down the pedal, and Darn pulls away down the straight. Meanwhile, Ripson trying to go up the inside, take the race lead away from Rivershan. He does. He takes the race lead. Now he's going to look to try to break DRS on Darn and those guys behind. He knows Rivershan's probably going to pit this lap, so he needs to pull away. He needs to find a second on his rival. You can see he hugs the inside line on the Lewis Hamilton straight and through Cops. Ripson using his better tires, probably using as much battery as he can to pull away from Rivershan, but Rivershan not letting it happen, still within a half second of our new race leader in Ripson. Darn glued to the back of him, and so is Tudor, who runs a little wide out of Maggots and Beckett's and into Chapel. And you can see Darn using all of his battery. He's got a red blinking white. He's got no extra deployment. He's not going to make the move stick on Rivershan, but they're still going to be within 3/10. Meanwhile, Jan Failer makes the move on Patrick. That's for 8th position, what will be 7th once Rivershan dives into the pits, which is now. Failer up into 8th, Patrick down to 9. Rivershan speeds in the pit lane. That's certainly going to be his race somewhat ruined. Ripson, though, leading the way. Everyone has pitted at this stage. Fresh sauce for the guys into the pits. It's game on, folks. To keep an eye on the Delta. The top 11 all within the slipstream chain. Our mate, who has lost connection, down at 2.7 behind Kevjanex. Leors, who had the spin a little farther back. But Ripson leading the way, did not break DRS on Darn. Now we have to assume that Darn and Tudor are going to try to excuse me, they're going to try to remove those penalties, so we're not sure who's at fault for the speeding into the pit lanes or if it was just unintentional or whatnot. But either way, we assume they won't have the penalties for this stage. Gelberman does have a 3-second time penalty on top of his 5-second, so he will most likely not be able to get that removed anyways. So it's going to be pedal to the metal, last 9 laps to go, lap 17 on 26. They're going through Cops. Darn in DRS range of Ripson, but he's got no extra battery. So let's look at the battery situation. Ripson at 60%, Darn at 6, Tudor at 60. Darn picks up a 3-second time penalty. Oh no, the Williams driver. Whether or not he can get the pit penalty removed, he will probably not be able to get that penalty removed. And he's not only out of battery, but he's going to be under threat to Tudor behind. Tudor using all of his battery, going to go up the inside into Stowe. Very bold move by the Romanian driver. They're going to leave just enough space. They're going to wheel bang on exit. And now it's going to be who breaks later in Neville. Tudor trying to go around the outside, which becomes the inside line for the chicane. Tudor up into second position. He's got Darn past. Meanwhile, Krusix has the move on field racing. Seb trying to come back at him down the front straight. Krusix does not have a penalty, so he will be looking to run down Tudor, Darn, and then try to pressure Ripson for the race victory. Jan Fehler up the inside of Gelbavan into turn number 3. They're going to go 3 wide through turn 4. Seb stuck in a sandwich. Fehler gets forced wide. Gelbavan, meanwhile, now has an inside line on Seb. He's going to look to try to make the move down the back straight. He's going to tuck into toe. Sauerbraten goes fastest overall. Gelbavan trying to go up the inside of Seb. He's going to back out of him the last second. He's got a full battery to work with. So Gelbavan is going to be one to watch for. Even with this 3-second time penalty and the 5-second one, he's going to be one to watch for. Max has cleared Patrick in the background going into Luffield. Those soft tires are now starting to be very worn, and they certainly will not be faster than the medium tire runners at this stage. So keep an eye out for that. F1 Racing Ltd going to look to clear those 2 drivers on the softs up ahead. But as it stands, Darn and Gelbavan, the only drivers without those excess 5-second time penalties, because they have the 3-second one. Tudor also has a 5-second time penalty, so we'll have to see who caused that post-race. But Tudor now looking to pressure Ripson. They're probably equal on battery at this stage, and it's going to be a matter of, does Tudor wait until the final lap to go for the move? Does he go for the move early and try to break DRS? All the strategy stuff going through the Romanian's head. The pressure is on. He's looking to get his 2nd race victory of the season after winning at Belgium. Could have been his 3rd, but he choked in Azerbaijan. What does the Romanian have to do? Darn looking to go defensive from Krusix. Darn struggling for battery right now. Krusix has been very racy all race long. He's looking to get onto the podium on track and potentially battle for the race when he sees that Ripson's got no penalty up ahead. Or he might not know that, actually. But he knows that he's going to need to try to get clear of Darn and Tudor to have a shot at the race one on track. He's got Seb, though, behind. Seb's been very racy with him all race long, so he knows that he has to be very careful with his move. Gelvan, meanwhile, going for the inside line on Seb. Seb went a little wide through Luffield. That's going to give Gelbavan the inside. They're going to go side by side into Cops. Who's going to be braver? It's going to be Gelbavan on the inside. Jan Fehler is looking very racy in behind. Fehler's going to tuck in behind Gelbavan. They're still side by side, going into Maggots and into Beckett's. Still side by side. This is fantastic stuff. And Gelbavan swoops around the outside. Seb got a little bit too much sausage curve, slowed him up a bit too much, and Gelbavan is through. Up ahead, though, Krusix trying to get the overspeed on Darn. Tudor trying to go around the outside of Ripson for the race lead. Does Tudor have the space? No, he does not, but Krusix has the move done on Darn. Darn trying to find a way back around Krusix, but Krusix up into 3rd. He certainly sees he's smelling blood now. He wants his race victory. He's so close, yet so far to the airborne driver up ahead, who does not have a time penalty. Rivershan, meanwhile, picks up another 3-second time penalty. He was certainly praying for a late safety car at this stage, because this is the only thing that will save his race. Ripson knows that he needs to win this race. He's got Fehler down in 7th. He knows that the penalties will come through and promote Fehler provisionally up into 4th. But he needs to get all the points he can if he wants to have a chance at coming back at his championship rival. But he's got Tudor very racy behind, who's got the 5-second time penalty that we don't know if he can get removed. F1 Racer, meanwhile, trying to go around the outside of Patrick. It's going to be the inside line for Luffield. Those soft tires got to be screaming on that Williams now. And F1 Racer is through on his rival. Meanwhile, Kev Genetics must have made a mistake because he's lost DRS to Patrick up ahead. That is unfortunate to see. Fehler stuck behind Seb right now. At this stage, Seb would inherit a podium
Whether or not Darn and Gelbvan can get their 5-second time penalties removed, same with Tudor, they still have a 3-second time penalty on top of them that we doubt will get removed. So at this stage, Seb is looking to inherit at least P4 and what will be P3 on track at the end of the session because of Tudor's time penalty. So it all depends. We don't know who started that collision into the pits, who broke late and caused the issue, because one of the drivers will not get a time penalty removed, or it was caused by someone who didn't get a time penalty. Either way, we do expect some of those drivers to get it removed unless they just actually did speed into the pits, which if that's what the case is, then that is unfortunate to see. We don't want that to happen. Lap 21 of 26, 6 laps to go. Krusik smelling the gearbox of Tudor. Darn smelling the gearbox of Krusik. Tudor needs to get a move on, otherwise he's going to have the Alpha Tower trying to clear him. Now, down the straight into Brooklands and Luffield. They gained so much on Ripson, who does not have the DRS as he is the race leader. Kevin X, I wonder if he picked up some kind of damage. He's really lost out a lot to Patrick. He must have picked up some kind of wing damage that we can't see. He's now 3 seconds behind on Armate. I don't think he disconnected. He's just really struggling right now at this stage. Heartbreak for the Alpine driver who was battling for the win at, well, for a podium at one stage. Wasn't battling for the win because Failer had DRS broken on the rest of the field. Failer, meanwhile, glued to the gearbox of Seb. He's in this train. He's probably got almost a full tank of battery. He actually does not. He's actually almost out of battery, so Failer looking to do something. But up at the front, Krusik, Ripson, Tudor trying to go 3 wide in the Stowe. Ripson's going to get double overtaken by Tudor. He's going to swoop around the outside. Krusik, Ripson, though, makes contact with Krusik. He's going to come under pressure from Darn. He's got to defend the inside line in the Stowe. Darn backs out of it at the last second. Gelbvan and Seb side by side. Gelbvan up into 5th position. Seb's going to lose out to Jan Failer. Failer up into 6th position. That will be a podium. Tudor into the race lead. Krusik in 2nd. Ripson in 3rd. Ripson made contact with Krusik's right rear. Got a little squirmy. And it cost Ripson that extra position. Meanwhile, in the background, F1 Racer trying to go around the outside of Max, trying to close back up on his rivals. Not sure if he has the battery life for it. He does not. It looks like Max will have the inside line into Brooklands, but F1 Racer still going to try to go around the outside of Max. It's going to be the inside line of Luffield. He's got certainly the tire advantage at this stage of the race. And oh, Darn is round! Darn is round! Darn is retired. He has smacked the wall and he's missing his left front tire. And that is a full course caution, folks. 5 laps to go. 4 laps and a half to go. Darn is round and he has retired from the race. It is heartbreak for the Williams driver. And that brings back Lior, Sauerbraten, and Rivershen, who will certainly pit for their free set of soft tires. Tudor up at the front is certainly going to stay out. He doesn't want to serve his pit stop and go all the way to the back. Krusik and Ripson have the huge order of do they stay out or do they pit. There's only going to be 2 laps of green flag running at this stage. And they're certainly going to think about track position. Tudor throws the dummy, does not pick. Krusik stays out. Gelbvan stays out. Failer stays out. A lot of drivers staying out. Almost everyone's staying out. Even Max staying out. Patrick staying out as well. Armate into the pits. He's going to serve his 5-second time penalty. This could be huge. He's going to be the first driver on a fresh set of softs. Kev Genetics into the pits as well for what I assume is a fresh set of softs. I believe he's in the lobby. I don't believe he disconnected, because if he did, that would be heartbreak. But we'll see if he is, so we can get him back in here if he was not in here. But I don't believe he was disconnected. Yes, he had wing damage. Okay, that's why he was slow. He had wing damage. It's a wing change for the Alpine driver. Will he come out ahead of the Aston Martin? No, he will not. He'll be behind Lior, so he gets brought back into it as well. Sauerbraten stayed out on his softs. Those softs are 6 laps old. Gelbvan gets up a 5-second time penalty for collision with Jan Failer. We're not sure what happened there, but Failer also picked up a 5-second time penalty, so we'll see. That'll probably get removed if I had to guess, because Failer's certainly going to be annoyed that he picked up a time penalty there. Gelbvan now has 2 5-second time penalties. We don't know who caused that initial wreck. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the race director from when they all pitted early on. It said Gelbvan hit Darn. Darn hit Gelbvan. Tudor hit Seb. Armate just sped into the pits. So Armate just sped into the pits. But there was a collision by, it looks like everyone locking up. So We don't know if Seb took damage, like if he hit Tudor. I think he was behind Tudor. I'm not sure. So we'll have to relook at the footage there, but some of these penalties will certainly get removed. Because Seb never got a time penalty for that collision while Tudor did. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Tudor might have hit the back of Seb. Seb, who probably had a brake too late to avoid someone else. It'll all be interesting right now. Failer and Gubbleman hitting each other on the safety cars. So they're going to drop down the order. Now I'm sure that penalty will get removed. So let's not worry about that. But the fresh set of softs go to R10, Leors, Kevgenex, Galaxy, and Riverstron. Safety car stays out this lap. So lap 24 will be under safety car transitions. Failer goes into the pits. He's going to remove, get his penalty removed, and go for a fresh set of softs. So maybe he did cause that collision. Maybe he thinks he won't get it removed. And as a result, he's going to have to start with the penalty. He's going to go for a fresh set of softs. He's only going to have 2 laps to go, though. I'm not sure this is the smart move. If he can get that penalty removed, he would have been running in the top 5, certainly. He would have had Gellivan because of all the other penalties, that's for sure. But Jan Failer has wing damage as well, so he's going to have to do a wing change. He's going to drop all the way down into 15th out of the points. Failer's race is certainly over now. The pole sitter way down the order. Tudor at the front, meanwhile. We don't know if his penalty will get removed. We've still been discussing it. Krusix is in second. He will get the race victory on penalties alone unless Ripson has something to say about it. Now, Gellivan has the 5-second time penalty from the collision in the pits with Darn. He's got the 5-second time penalty, from the collision with Jan Failer, which we don't know if Gellivan's at fault for either of them, but Gellivan has a 3-second time penalty on top of that. So he's going to tumble way down the order, maybe get 10 seconds of penalties removed after the race, but he's still going to lose out 3 seconds either way to the likes of Seb and his teammate behind. Now, Max and Patrick are interesting. They had the option to pit for a fresh set of softs. The only driver they would have lost out to would have been Sauerbrunn. I mean, these guys are on 15-lap-old softs. They're not in puncture territory yet. At least I hope they're not for their sake. But those softs are going to be screaming. They're not going to be faster than the medium runners. They're just looking to get track position at this stage. Failer catching back up to the grid. R10 is into the points now. He's on the fresh set of softs. He's going to look to try to make a move on Sauerbrunn. He's on 8-lap-old softs, which won't be slouch. I mean, they should be on similar pace, maybe a tad faster than the mediums up ahead. But Failer has caught up to the field. Safety cars in this lap will have 2 laps of green flag action. There will be no DRS enabled at this stage because it takes 3 laps till lap 3 after the safety car restart. Krusix going off track, trying to avoid Tudor, trying to get a jump on Tudor. He's just warming up his tires, making his car wide. Krusix not trying to get any tire temp on his tires. He thinks they're good enough. It's a matter of when does Tudor go from the start. Safety cars in the pits now, so whenever Tudor decides to go is when the field can get underway at the start here. He's going pretty slow, still warming up his tires. There he goes. Tudor goes before getting into Vale and Club, looking to get a race victory, assuming on track, maybe even saved, depending on who's at fault for that pit lane collision. But we have 2 laps to go, folks. Can Krusix clear Tudor, get the race victory? Can Ripson, who sees his championship live down 15th? Leors picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is heartbreaking for the Israeli driver who's on a fresh set of softs. He will not improve. R10, meanwhile, trying to go up the inside of Sauerbrunn through arena. He's going to have to slow up on exit. Sauerbrunn's got the overspeed around the outside. Kevgenex up into 11th now. He will certainly gain a couple positions. F1 Racer, meanwhile, stuck to the gearbox of Seb, trying to make the move. These guys are on old mediums. They stayed out for the track position, and right now that's looking like the move. R10 trying to clear. Oh, he's getting pressure from Kevgenex. Kevgenex trying to go up the inside. This is for the last points paying position. 10th place are side by side, the Alpine and the Red Bull Racing. Who's going to be braver through cops? And it's going to be Kevgenex. They're looking to go 3 wide. Leors looking to go side by side with R10 through Maggots and Beckets. And it looks like R10's going to lose out 2 positions, 1 to Kev and 1 to Leors in the span of about 3 quarters of time. Now, back to the front. Tudor still leading the way. He's got a lap and half a sector to go, and he will win it on track. Krusix will win it, though, and will stand on the top step of the podium. Meanwhile, Patrick under pressure from Sauerbrunn. Sauerbrunn trying to go up the inside of the Williams driver who's on very, very old softs. He's a roadblock for these cars in the back. His softs are screaming right now. Cyberbot trying to make the move stick. R8 down positions. Leor's down some positions. Galaxy battling with R8. Side by side. Last lap of the race. Tudor still leading the way. Leor's goes very, very wide out of turn number 1. And the Red Bulls now battling out towards the back with Jan Fehler trying to make it a 3-car battle up ahead. Sauerbraten, oh, that is round. Galaxy is round. That is heartbreak to see. Sauerbraten trying to get around Patrick Jelfag in Sector 1 due to Galaxy. Look at this. Everyone burning battery. Patrick, Kevjanek, Sauerbraten. Sauerbraten trying to go up the inside. Leors trying to make a move stick as well. This is an exciting battle for 8th position. Patrick forcing Sauerbraten wide. Oh, it is so tight. These guys are still side by side. It's for 8th position, but who cares? It's 4 points, folks. Patrick's on 17-lap-old softs, trying to hang it around the outside. Now the inside, 3 wide, excuse me. Sauerbraten is through. Leors tries to go up the inside and off. He's off the track and into the wall. Leors has retired. It's forced Patrick to go off the track, but back up at the front. Tudor still leading the way. It's Tudor versus Krusix. Can Krusix get the overspeed? No, he cannot. Tudor looks like he will win it on track. He's out of battery. And Tudor through Vale and Club now just needs to keep it on track. He will win the race on track. If he gets his penalty move, he will win the race. But as of right now, Krusix will win the British Grand Prix. Ripson will come home in 2nd. Seb comes home in 3rd. F1 Racer in 4th. Max is 5th. Tudor only drops to 6th. Sauerbraten will get 7th. Kevjanek 8th. Patrick 9th. And R8 rounds out the top 10. Jan Fehler picked up wing damage from the collision with Galaxy. Might have actually spun at the end there. He will not score points. But wow, what a fantastic last 2 laps of the race. It was straight chaos. And according to Richard B, Tudor should be able to get the penalty removed because he does not believe it was his fault. So Tudor will try to get the race win back. But as of right now, Krusix has won the Grand Prix, stands on the top step of the podium. First time race winner here in Tier 1, Season 22. Alongside him is Ripson. What a race, folks. What a race. Krusix comes home on top. Ripson in 2nd, Seb in 3rd, F1 Racer 4th, Max in 5th, and Tudor in 6th position. Wow. Just wow. We're going to go ahead and get the race director for anyone who needs it. See a couple collisions, a couple warnings, any kind of penalty removals. Here is the race director for anyone. 3 times Leors put off the track. I'm sure we'll see that incident in the stewards. That was just chaos for P8 there. Wow. Just wow. I'm at a loss for words. We're going to go on to the interviews right now. Whew. What a race, folks. What just an absolutely fantastic race. We have a lot of stuff going on there. Leors spinning off on the final lap. Went for a move. Whether or not the space was there or deserved to be there, it's to be determined. But that was an absolutely fantastic race nonetheless. We have Darn and Tudor so far for the interviews. We're going to go ahead and bring in Darn. He unfortunately did not have the race he wanted, but we'll go ahead and bring him in now. Darn, not the finish you wanted to the race. Unfortunately, you ended up in the wall. Yeah. You had a good race overall. What happened there? Did you just lose the rear end? Any contact? Talk us through it.
So what happened? Firstly, there was a pile-up in the pits. Where Ripson crossed into the pit lane when he was still on track, like Hamilton in Germany. And to avoid him, I had to completely brake, go to the right to not being sliced by this rear wheel. And then Gelberond and many people took penalties because I was basically stopped in front of the pits. And then a little bit later, in the end of the race, Ripson again pushed me wide. I took a warning in 3 seconds, and I finished. I don't know if someone hit me on the 5th or 6th corner, but I spun at this place. I don't know why. I didn't feel that I was sliding on or everything or anything else, But yeah, I'm really upset. I didn't get much pace when I was racing, so I didn't appreciate what happened.
Yeah, it was a very tight race. It was very hard for a lot of these drivers to overtake, and
Yeah,
I feel like there was a lot of frustration. Would you agree in that statement in that it was just frustrating
yeah.
being stuck in the DRS train?
It was really frustrating because people were like, yeah, I'm going to make a position and overtake and go to P1, but no, it's not possible. It's a DRS train. The only thing you had to do is to qualify well, respect people, and not take penalties,
Yeah.
like I did. But it was really annoying because many people were really frustrated, and on the very very hard braking zones, I had options to make some dive bombs, but it was either making contacts and winning races, or just staying at the position I was, which was speed free, and I could have kept that position with the removal of the penalties. I think. Yeah, I'm a bit sad to not score points because I think I deserved it today.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look over at the race, standouts were really really hard with people. So it wasn't bad to the point where it's a bad behavior, but it was really difficult today. I
Yeah.
don't have a word to explain that, but people were too much aggressive. To be fair.
I guess we'll probably see a few incidents in the stewards room. I mean, I'm sure we'll see some
Yeah.
of the penalty removals. I do want to touch back on the pit lane incident again, because Tudor was one of the people who got caught up in that and got a 5-second penalty. Do you think, from your POV, that
Yeah,
the
it
drivers who got
should.
the collisions will get removed from what
I
you saw?
think they will all get removed.
Okay.
I think that yes, because it's either Ripson's fault who came into the pits and I have to avoid him, or my fault because I braked too much. But I mean, in this game, if you are wheel against front wing, your front wing can be crushed in an instant.
Yeah.
So I prefer to save my front wing. I'm
Yeah.
really sorry. I apologize on my video, but yeah, I'm sorry for the guys behind. But I just try to stay alive.
So it's kind of like just like an unintentional thing. It's not like anyone.
Yeah,
It's not like someone just
that's the
one
thing.
person made
If Ripson
individual
didn't
mistakes.
jump onto me and into the pits, this wouldn't have happened.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll see stuff in the stewards room. Now,
Yeah.
I really, really hate to say this, but last
It's a
week you
curse.
finished third place on track.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
a curse.
third race this season where after finishing third, the last race you did.
And I must, and this time I finished P4. So it was I must avoid to finish P3 on track. That's the
Yes.
thing.
I think you have to avoid third place. Like if you are
Yeah.
next week we have China, all right. So I'll ask you about how you feel about that in a sec. But I think no matter what at China, you have to, if you're running third position, you either have to get second or on the last lap you just have to let someone else through. I don't think I don't
or
think
just win or do something.
yeah, you just absolutely win or just give up third place. Just be like, I don't want to be cursed. Someone else take this position for me.
Yeah.
Because it's
And
funny.
usually,
I'm looking at Failer also finished third at Spain and DNF'd at Monaco. So
yeah.
you're not the only one who's had a DNF after finishing third place. But on to
Yeah,
China.
it's the worst position.
Yeah, it's not a good position to finish, it seems. Now on to China. Do you think you can rebound there? I mean, it shouldn't be as extreme of a DRS train around there. I mean, there still very well could be one.
Yeah.
But have you driven China on this game, and do you feel confident around there, or is it just going to
I
be a
have
we'll see?
driven it at the beginning, and it was quite a good race for me, in terms of tire wear and everything. So I'm confident. I want to bounce back because I mean I will always try to do my best. The only thing is that since Spa, I don't have much time to prepare. I only have my Sunday, so it's a very short amount of time to prepare myself and be in good position. So I guess we'll see next week if I feel if I feel that I'm in a good form to perform. But I don't think it will be the worst or the best race of the year. Just a decent race. That's what I expect.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. We look forward
Yeah.
to seeing what you can do next week. Hopefully, it does better. I'm sure you'll rebound just
Yeah.
fine. You've done a great job.
See you
with that
next
all season.
time.
See you. Cheers. Congratulations on the good qualifying result and the good race. Unfortunate result, but have a safe,
Yeah.
happy, healthy next rest of your weekend. We look forward to seeing you next week when we go to China.
Thanks. See you next time.
Cheers.
So that was Darn. Now, according to what he said, it looks like we will have a bunch of those drivers will get their penalties removed. Now, of course, we're still going to say that Krusix is our race winner. But our race winner on track, we're going to go ahead and bring him in now. Tudor, you won on track. We expect your penalty to get removed, so you should be able to officially become the race winner after that happens. How are you feeling after that race?
Oh my god, after qualifying P10, the worst spot you can qualify in, I was so pissed. I didn't want to start P10. I would have preferred P11, but it actually turned into a very good position because I got up to 7th in the first 6 maybe. I can't remember. Then the DRS train, I just stayed behind. I didn't want to overtake anyone. I didn't want to get overtaken because I knew all the things would shake up during the pit lane strategy at the pit stops. So yeah, I just stayed behind, and then safety car came out as I exited Stowe, and so my first thought was just dive into the pit lane for mediums. This was already close to the pit window. So yeah, unfortunately, as we entered the pit lane, Ripson did a Lando from Russia. He just cut through the grass into the pit lane entry, and that caused a pile up a train. We had to slow down very much to adhere to the pit lane limit speed. So who was ahead? It was Don and Gelberwan slowed down so much. I slowed down as well, but Seb from behind me tapped me, which gave me the 5-second time penalty. I hope I can get that removed because, I mean,
it sounds based off of how it's been described by you and Doran. I believe all the drivers should be able to get removed, so you should be able to come home with the race victory. But let's go back to the start of the race. Now, you were one of 2 drivers up 3 positions on the start. We didn't catch it on camera, but walk us through like how your start went, because I mean, at a track that's really hard to overtake once everyone gets going, you were able to make up 3 positions off the rip. What happened there?
I don't know. I just I tried to get a good start, and then into turn 1, if I remember correctly, Krusix was on the outside, so he was on the slower line. I managed to get him into turn 1, yeah, and then into turn 3 and 4, Seb was also again on the outside, so I managed to squeeze on the inside of 3 and then the outside of 4. And after that, Ahmed just spun ahead of me, and that was a free position.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it was just who was it? Jan, F1 racer, Kev Genetics, Rips and Don, and Yellow one ahead of me.
Yep. Okay, so definitely a strong start for you. Now, of course, you didn't want to start on the softs, but when you're on the mediums, you had some really good pace. You actually were looking very, very racy. Did you feel more comfortable on the medium tire once you got going with it? Because you were able to conserve your battery compared to your rivals around you, and as a result, you were able to make the moves in the DRS train. Would you say that your medium pace, you just felt better on that tire than the softs?
No, it felt the same. The difference was it was only 3 cars ahead of me that were on the same pace as me. So we had it was basically a train that had the bigger train with the engine at the front just going slower. So I don't know if I was fast on that medium stint, because Krusix behind was definitely faster than me. He was gaining a lot of more positions than I did, but just the fact that those 3 ahead that hadn't pitted were holding us back, I think that just helped me even more preserve the ERS and just being able to keep so close to them.
Interesting. So, even if you weren't to get the penalty removed, which, again, like I said, it should get removed based off how it's been described, you'd still be finishing in 6th, which is still a very, very good result. It would be your third. It would be your third 6th place finish of the season. Still get some good points. You'd close in on Sauerbraten a little bit, not as much since he finished right behind you, but with the first place, you would almost catch up to him and put it into the top 5. Now that brings us to the question of 3 races to go. We've got China, Imola, and Brazil. How are you feeling about China coming up with that being the first of the 3 races? And do you think that maybe you can,
get up into the top 5, maybe try to run down Darn and F1 Racer if things keep going your way?
I mean, you can remember too, last week at Portimao, you asked me the same question, or I think Benny asked me, what do I think of the last races, and my answer for Silverstone was like, I'm just going to try and stick to the front, top 5, maybe a podium.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said the same for China, maybe better, maybe a podium for China. But right now I just, I mean, 2 wins in 3 races, is it? 3
yeah,
races?
it would be 2 wins in 3 races once the penalty gets removed. You'd be only the 3rd driver with more than 1 race victory on the season. You'd be joining Sauerbraten and Jan Fehler with that tally. So, fantastic job nonetheless. Very good form you're holding.
Yeah, thank you. For China, then, again, just try and stay at the front. Like you said, try and close the gap to Don and F1 Racer, because that's my only goal right now. The championship, I think I'm not even in the fight. I don't think I was even in the fight.
You were mathematically, technically not eliminated, but you were 80 points back going into this race with 4 to go, which is might as well be mathematically eliminated, even with Fehler scoring nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, the target right now is just having such a good form in the last 3 races. Just keep pushing and see. Again, top 5, top 3. That's my target.
I guess.
And again, for Imola, I want to retract what I said from Portimao. Or yeah, I don't want to. I'm not gonna go for the win anymore. I'm just gonna go for the best result that I can. Because every time I say that I'm gonna go for a win, I'm gonna go for that. It's something that's right at the top. It's never gonna go well for me. So might as well just retract my words as soon as I can.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Congratulations, Tudor. You drove a very, very good race today.
Thank you.
Yep, so assuming the penalty gets removed, congrats on the win. If not, congrats on the 6th place. We look forward to seeing you next week at China. Have a safe, happy, and healthy rest of your week.
Thank you. Also, thank you for commentating. I can hear your voice being done.
Oh, yeah, my voice is absolutely cooked from the end of that race. There was lots of action. We had actually, you didn't get to see this because you were up at the front, but there was drivers going side by side, battling for 8th and 9th for over half a lap. So it was definitely worth watching the stream for a couple of those battles because, man, crazy.
This field is so damn close.
Yes, it is. I mean, look at qualifying. There was at a stage where, when you were down in 10th, there was a stage where the gap between 6th to 10th was under a 10th of a second. It was like half a tenth. So with how close it is, I mean, he had Fehler stretching his legs at the front, but with how close the field is, it is certainly phenomenal. And you see what happens. Everyone's holding the DRS train. One small mistake cost you everything. So, and today it went your way.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Have a good night. And again, thank you.
Thank you too. Cheers, Tudor.
Goodbye.
That was Tudor. Last but not least, we'll go ahead and bring in Field Racing Seb. He'll be what I assume is our final interview of the day. Seb, you had a pretty good race. You actually got the podium back last week, so we're going to go ahead and backtrack on that a little bit. Coming off of the podium last week, you came home in 3rd today. Might get relegated a position due to some penalty removals. How are you feeling after that race?
I think you're talking about me.
You didn't have a penalty last week, but sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I was 3rd today, but I think I will be 4th after penalty removal. But overall the race was very very good. I mean, many people on the same pace, huge DRS train. I had pressure from behind all the time. I tried to keep the pressure on the front guy, but I didn't find a way to pass him. So, yeah, it was a very, very good race overall, I think.
Yeah, let's talk about that pressure. So every time it looked like, especially when you had Krusix behind you, it looked like you didn't have the pace like down the Hanger Straight and Chapel and whatnot, but you always seemed to close in on the cars ahead from Arena down that DRS straight into Brooklands and Luffield. Were you just more confident through that part of the track? Did you struggle through Meggins and Beckett's? Because that was you were like the only driver where you were stronger through
essentially the first sector and the start of the second sector of the track versus everywhere else.
Yeah, that's what I also noticed. The first part of the second sector, I was much quicker than the cars in front, but always on maggots and backets. I don't know. I think I tried to be cautious to not lose it. And sometimes I got the wrong line, but yeah, I saw Kruzix behind. He was always very committed. He pushed through there all the time, and yeah, I had to press the overtake button after that very often, very long to keep him behind. But yeah, at the end, he found a way through because I did a slight mistake in the last sector.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it was you still came home on third on track, and that the race at the end was just an absolutely blitzing it. You got two
Yeah,
races now where you've had really good results. I assume you gotta be feeling good about yourself with how these races have gone.
yeah, I'm very happy with my performance today. Qualifying went reasonably well. I thought I did a really good lap, but at the end it said, "Yo, you're P8." So I was quite surprised because the lap felt really good actually. Um, but yeah, the race was also good. I mean, I was in the pack all the time. I had some nice battles, and yeah, it was a fun race. I mean, a bit unfortunate for my teammate because he was heavily affected by the safety car, and he was at the front at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to do one more lap, and then he lost all the positions. So I think he was P2 at the time or something. But yeah, at the end, both Alpines in the points again, and I think for the Constructor Championship, it's a good position, good race for us.
Yeah, let's go to the constructors then real quick. So you guys were not essentially, you guys were at the front of a four-team train between you, Alfa Romeo, Haas, AlphaTauri, 9 points separating the four teams. Now, looking how today went, assuming Tutors gets penalties, gets removed, that's Haas's 25 points. Alpine will get a little less, so Haas is going to close in, maybe jump you. Alfa Romeo may jump you as well. So it's a very, very tight group, and then AlphaTauri had Kruzix up towards the front as well. So you have a very tight battle there for fourth of constructors. Is that something that, since you brought it up, is that something that you're trying to, win that battle, maybe even try to run down Ferrari in third? Or you just, it just is what it is on how that turns out?
Yeah, I think our team goal is to win the battle you were just talking about. I think we will try our best to keep the pace up and to get as many points as possible for the future few races.
I guess we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Last question for you today. China coming up. Do you think you can go 3 races in a row where you finish on track in third? Whether or not, penalties, what happens, we'll see. But do you think you can keep this strong run of form going?
I think China is basically a very strong track for me. One of my favorites, to be honest. I think it can be a very good race, but yeah, as always, qualifying will take a very important role in that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the race, but I cannot predict anything.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Well, congratulations. You drove a strong race today. We look forward to seeing you next week, and we hope you have a safe, happy, and healthy rest of your week. Seb, great job today.
Okay, thank you, man. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Yep, see you next week.
Bye.
So we got one more interview today. It's going to be Jan Fehler, our championship leader. He did not have his best race. We'll go ahead and bring him in. Jan, definitely not your best race of the season. Very unfortunate safety car timing out there. How are you feeling after that very chaotic race?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. That was from the second safety car on, I'd say. That was my worst couple of laps that I've ever done in AOR history. No doubt about that. I always get super annoyed by people who crash into other people ahead of them in the safety car queue, no matter if it is, when the field catches up to the safety car or whenever during the phase. And today I did exactly that because I was already thinking about how and where to get moves on and still maybe regain a podium from what happened in the first phase of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't pay attention and completely ran into the back of Gerber van there. and then yeah, in the final lap also then spinning around Galaxy, also absolutely my fault, absolutely stupid, and definitely not proud of that today.
Yes, definitely not your best race on the season. You did show some really good pace around the track otherwise, and I think it was unfortunate with the safety car timing when it came out. But I do have some good news for you. So I did learn from some of the information that came in that it's looking like Tutors and a couple of the other drivers who got that penalty in the pits from a bunch of them got the 5-second penalties rattled back and forth was due to a chain reaction that could end up getting removed. So worst case scenario, none of that stuff gets removed. Ripson gets 18 points and is only going to be 26 behind you. So you still have more than a race victory in hand at the front. So on a championship standpoint, you had a pretty good day otherwise, even if you didn't score points.
Yeah, fair enough.
You have that, and in the team championship battle, Williams only scored 2 points with Patrick in ninth. Unfortunately, darn DNF. Now, of course, I wasn't rooting for that, but not a bad day for the McLaren team considering the circumstances. So definitely keep your head held up, and it could have been worse. It could have been Monaco this season.
It could have been, yeah. I mean, yeah, as you said, pace was looking really strong today, so that's definitely a positive. Did a bit of preparation because, coming towards the end of the season, I really wanted to put some practice in as well to just, finish it clean and as early as I can. But yeah, I don't know what was going on today. Because even the first safety car, right? I saw that, was it Richie B who
Yeah.
retired?
Yeah.
I saw he retired, and I was right before the pit lane. But my first thought was, okay, he retired, that's going to be a safety car. I should pit. And then, well, maybe there's no safety car, so I don't pit. So I stayed out, and then, yeah, when I went past the pit lane, then there was that safety car. So I had a chance, and I just didn't take it. I just wasn't quick enough on my head today. And I guess that also showed that, I was not really on it later on as well. So, yeah, it's annoying.
I mean,
But yeah.
Annoying nonetheless, but like I just said, you can keep your head held up high. 3 races to go, China being the next one. How do you feel about that track, and do you think you're going to be able to keep this? I mean, you've had really good form. You just kind of had an unfortunate the safety car just came out at the worst time possible for you. But other than that, I would say you had a good race, pace-wise and whatnot. Do you think you can carry that momentum through to China, rebound, put it on the podium, maybe even the top step once again?
Yeah, for sure. I've always been reasonably strong at China. Let's actually be confident about it. I was actually pretty good around China in the past years as well. I haven't done the track on this game yet, but I will definitely, of course, in preparation for next week then. And usually my pace is quite strong there, and I hope to get back on top and then get my championship challenge up and running again, or keep it running, I should say. It's still on, of course. We shouldn't really paint the wall too dark here.
I mean,
it's still, I'm still in the lead, so.
I'll give you some good news. So now, if Tudor's penalty does not get removed and Ripson stays at 26 points behind you, you would not be able to officially win the championship next week. But if Tudor's penalty gets removed, he would jump up to first. Ripson goes down to third. It's a 29-point gap. If you were to win the race outright and Ripson does not score points, you would be the Tier 1 champion for the first time ever with 2 races in hand. But
yeah.
that's a big what if. Ripson would have to score no points, and you would have to win the race. Tall order, of course, but something to look forward to with China.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do too much maths until then. I mean, I did some. I knew, okay, if I win these 2, I'm gonna be champion. 2 races to go. That obviously didn't happen. So that only proves to me that I should just stop doing maths over any championship standings, because I never do that usually. Now I'm in that position, and all of a sudden started doing that. I don't know. I just should stop doing that. I mean, at some point, if it happens, you're gonna tell me that I'm champion. So
yep,
I should just wait for that.
Yeah, one of these days you'll come into the commentary booth, and I'll tell you, and it'll be good to go. But for the time being, just keep your head down and keep driving fast.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
So, congratulations on at least the qualifying performance, good pace. Unfortunate result for you today, but hope you have a safe, happy, healthy rest of your week, and look forward to seeing you rebound at China, because last time you DNF'd or had a bad result, you came back and won the race. So,
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
See you next week then.
See you, Jan. Cheers.
Goodbye.
That was our final interview of the day, Jan Fehler. It was a fantastic race. Like I told you guys, plenty of action. And we're going to give one last thank you shout out to our sponsors, Elgato. Thank you, Elgato. Be sure to visit their website for more information about their amazing Stream Deck and other products that they have. Thank you to SimSOK. Don't just use any socks when driving your league or endurance races. Use socks that will give you the competitive edge. With SimSOK's gripping technology, you will eliminate any issues where your feet might slip off the gas or the brake, giving you the edge over your rivals. Be sure to check them out at simsok.com today. Thank you to Driver61. Driver61 is a renowned content creator who you may have seen on YouTube, and it's a brilliant channel for learning more about the science behind racing. But he also offers coaching sessions with a brilliant coaching staff. You can get 25% off a consultation session plus free coaching when you use code AOR Driver61. That is code AOR Driver61. Learn more at driver61.com today. That's all for us, folks. It was a fantastic race. Driver of the day would probably have to go to Tudor based off of that finishing result, with the second driver of the day for me going to Max and his debut back to AOR, coming home in 5th after the penalties, but it'll probably be 6th after Tudor gets his penalty removed, starting all the way back in 17th. Fantastic job for Max. And yes, thank you to everyone watching. Hope you have a safe, happy, healthy rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you next week here on AOR.
Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.